Welcome back, everyone. Let's go ahead and do a quick comparison between the iPhone 12 mini and the iPhone 13. Now, both these phones are great. They are really just like almost the same in every single capacity, but there are some major differences between the two. Now, if you want to pick up either one of these phones, I'll leave them both linked down below in the description. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, you can definitely see there are some slight differences between the two. The iPhone 13 mini has a 5.4-inch OLED panel, which is smaller than that 6.1-inch OLED panel on the iPhone 13. The main difference between the two even is like the notches are smaller, but you are getting a much bigger phone on the iPhone 13, but this also brings a bigger size battery as well. Not only the bigger display, but a bigger size battery on the iPhone 13. The 12 mini was kind of like notorious of having some of the worst battery life on the iPhone 12 series and of any iPhone in recent time besides the iPhone SE 2, to be honest. Now, lightning ports at the bottom, which is great. On the side, nothing super different, flat-sided on both, volume, ringer switch, everything. The iPhone 12 mini is a much smaller phone, so keep that in mind. And on the back, we have glass backs on both as well, wireless charging on the two, which is great, and dual camera setups as well, which is really awesome. So they both have the wide angle lens and ultra wide sensor, which is always really good to see. And on the side, just the side button, the power button, so nothing else super different here either. And that's really pretty much it on the outside. IP certification on both, and like I mentioned, they pretty much have the same exact thing going on. Now, another pretty big thing to kind of hit on is the longevity of both of these phones. Now, with the iPhone 13, like I mentioned, this phone just came out, so it's not going anywhere anytime soon. This one is going to be supported for the time being. But with the iPhone 13 mini or 12 mini at that, this one came out last year, so it's not an old phone, but between these two, you are going to be getting potentially a longer lasting phone on the iPhone 13 than on the iPhone 12 mini. Now, is that a big deal? It totally is up to you. They're probably going to be ending off within 1 year of each other, unless Apple pulls like an iPhone 6S and then keeps supporting the phone. But I don't know. These phones are so similar, like the 13 series and 12 series, that I would be shocked if any of these phones don't last as long as each other, to be honest. So when it comes down to that, I think both these phones are great. I'm pretty sure, though, that the iPhone 13 is going to outlast the iPhone 12 mini, but I guess we'll see when the time comes. So that pretty much covers up the longevity and the outside and durability of both of these phones. Now let's go and do a speed comparison between both these devices. Now with the iPhone 13, it has that latest Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM. With the iPhone 12 mini, has that Apple A14 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM as well. So let's go and see which one is the faster iPhone between both of those. Okay, there we go. Let's go and clear all the apps in the background. And with the iPhone 13, obviously we have to have all of them open. So let's go and close them all out. So let's get into it. Let's do phone calls. 3, 2, 1. And pretty much the same thing, not a big difference. Music, 3, 2, 1. I thought I tapped it here. And you can see the 12 mini may have been a little bit faster. I had a sneeze there. Now hopping out of this one, let's get into the app stores. 3, 2, 1. And of course, I have a network connection problem on the 12 mini. The iPhone 13 probably did a really good job though. Camera, 3, 2, 1. Pretty much the same thing. I can't really tell which one is the faster one. Settings, 3, 2, 1. And pretty much the same thing too. I didn't really notice that big of a difference. And I think I already did the camera, so we can do mail, 3, 2, 1. Pretty much the same thing. Let's get into clock, 3, 2, 1. Pretty much the same thing too. So right from there, I haven't really been able to notice those big of a differences between the two. So let's go and hop out of this one. As always, like I mentioned, we have a bunch of these third-party apps we can go and get into. Let's get into Facebook, 3, 2, 1. Pretty much the same thing. Twitter, 3, 2, 1. I think the 12 mini was a little bit faster there, which is kind of weird. Fruit Ninja, 3, 2, 1. Now this one may take a minute. There may be 30 pop-ups that come up as well. And the 13 was definitely faster here. The 12 mini taking its time, not a problem at all. And we eventually get into it and we have another network connection problem. So probably would open up a little bit faster. Stack, 3, 2, 1. And the 13 probably was faster because we didn't have an ad on the 12 mini. So keep that in mind. And between the both, pretty much the same type of setup. Hopping out of this one, let's get into Instagram, 3, 2, 1. Maybe the 13 was the faster one there. Hopping out of this one, thank you, 3, 2, 1. And I think the 12 mini was a little bit faster there. That was kind of surprising. They both were kind of hand in hand. Hopping out of this one, let's get into Snake vs. Blocks, 3, 2, 1. And again, I think the 12 mini may have been a faster phone there. That is very surprising. I would not expect that. That's very crazy. I don't know why that happened. Hopping out of this one, let's get into Netflix 3, 2, 1. Network connection probably here. So let's just load that one up in the background. Quizlet 3, 2, 1. 13 was faster there. Dropbox 3, 2, 1. 13, I think, was the faster one there too. Bofa 3, 2, 1. I think, again, we're going to have a network connection problem. And again, we do. So we'll just go and hop out of this one. Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. And I think the iPhone 13 may be a fast device here. The 12 mini is still a great phone too, as you can see. I mean, literally right behind it. There's pretty much been no difference in terms of the speed between these two. Snapchat 3, 2, 1. And again, I think the iPhone 13 is the faster one. So I think when it comes down to both of these, they're both very fast, very good devices. I've had very few problems between the two. And I don't think that's that big of a difference in the speed between these two, which I've kind of showcased before on my other comparisons as well with other iPhone 12 series and 13 series. I think this is not a good upgrade between the two. I think if you have a 12 mini, going to the 13 because of the speed is not the move. There's a very small difference between the two, if any. So that covers it up there. Now let's go and hit on the cameras. Now with the cameras, like I mentioned before, pretty much the exact same setup on both. So dual camera setups, wide angle lens and ultra wide sensor. You have 4K at 60 on the front and the back of both of these. So pretty much the exact same setup. Now with the cameras, I've been seeing pretty much the exact same problem or, capability on both as well. You have the similar things like photo mode, portrait mode, panorama mode, all that good stuff. There really isn't that big of a difference. However, the iPhone 13 does have that cinematic mode, which I think is really cool. You don't have this capability on the iPhone 12 mini, but if you have a DSLR, it's pretty much the same type of effect. Essentially, it's like a blur effect and that, portrait mode effect on an iPhone, which I think is really cool. They put the exposure up too high, which is kind of an issue, and I don't know a way to turn that off. But regardless, it's cool and I like it a lot. Now with the iPhone 12 mini camera, this is a solid camera for sure. And like I mentioned before, very few complaints, for its small size. It's one of the smallest, best cameras on a phone out there. It's really one of the only smaller phones out there. You have a very solid camera lens. You don't have the ability of zooming in a lot, but you don't have it on the iPhone 13 either. It's pretty much the same camera sensor. Now you do have a lot of capability nonetheless. You can zoom into my foot over there. And without a doubt, you have a lot of capability. Is it perfect? Absolutely not, but it's still a really good camera sensor without a doubt. Now with the iPhone 13, you have pretty much the same exact setup, like I mentioned, but you do have the cinematic mode, which is really cool. I'm very rarely probably ever going to use it, even though I've already made a video with it one time before, and I think it's pretty cool. Now, the overall camera sensors are pretty much the exact same thing. I don't really think you're going to notice that big of a difference between the two. Like I mentioned, ultra wide sensor, which is great. But other than that, you're pretty much getting the exact same camera setup on both. So I haven't really noticed that big of a difference. I mean, if there is, I'll tell you guys and I'll make a separate video talking about it. But so far, the impression that I'm getting is both cameras are great and I have very little problems with both and they're almost more similar than not. And now we make it to the end of the video. Should you go and buy an iPhone 12 mini? Should you buy an iPhone 13? If you have a 12 mini, should you go and get an iPhone 13? Well, I definitely do think that if you have an iPhone 13 or if you have an iPhone 12 mini, both these phones are more similar than not, but the iPhone 13 is definitely the better phone to get. You're getting a much better display, much bigger display. I like a bigger and better display. You're getting a better camera setup with cinematic mode, which is cool. You're getting much better battery life, which is the biggest difference between the two. The 12 mini had pretty bad battery life. The iPhone 13 has pretty good battery life. So that is a massive difference between the two. I found that the speed was pretty much the same. There really wasn't that big of a difference there. The body build quality is pretty much the same. Like, this is a bigger phone, but you're getting better battery life. You're getting, durability, which is cool too. And like I mentioned, very, very few complaints with this specific device. So I think when it comes down to it, that pretty much covers it. With the 12 mini, still a great phone too. Very few complaints with this one. I like both. I don't know if, I would go from an iPhone 12 mini per se to a 13, but it's a good upgrade. I just wish the battery life was better on this phone. If it wasn't for the battery life, there would be no difference here. But because the battery life is kind of bad on the 12 mini, you may be better off if you go and pick up an iPhone 13 from the specific iPhone. So that pretty much covers it up. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.